choreographers?
Well, I think, yeah, I think that every program does on different levels. This one in particular, the goddesses and the seekers is bringing together three very different kinds of dance: uh, classical, ballet, contemporary modern dance, and East Indian Bharatanatyam. And so that's, bringing those three things together is kind of bringing the world together in a kind of microscopic way. And also the last piece on the program, Dominic Duan's written in calligraphy, comes out of his culture, his Vietnamese culture, and yet not everyone in the cast is from that culture. So I think it translates over not only cultures but races and experiences. And I hope that we can touch people who maybe have never been to Vietnam or have never been to India or have never been to a classical ballet or never been to contemporary modern work, and yet are moved, excited, filled with joy, filled with questions. I think the only thing that artists are not allowed to do is to bore people. So as long as we pique their curiosity and their imaginations, I think we've succeeded, and hopefully we cross barriers of different ways of being.
What do you think about the fact that there are fewer and fewer young people today love ballet and classical dancing and stuff like that, like the high culture stuff?
Well, I think it's just a product of the time. I mean, we're glued to our cell phones. We're watching everything on this tiny little screen, and so we're not used to that. I would say more intimate. A live performance is much more intimate than seeing something on a video or seeing something on a flat screen like your cell phone. In terms of classical work, I think that people often think that it's elite, that it's elitist, and they're not. They're not from that strata of people, so they think it's not for them. And I think there's so many distractions today. We have many distractions that we didn't have 20 years ago or 30 years ago or 50 years ago. But I think that things are starting perhaps to change a little bit, because this can be addictive, and it can also, I think, kind of, in the end, perhaps make us less human. So even though it's, performances have suffered somewhat, I think that in the end, people are going to want to see and be engaged by live performance, and perhaps, hopefully, they'll go to something that they've never thought they would venture to see, and perhaps be enlightened. We hope.
What values do you think the high culture dancing, like the high culture arts, like classical dancing and ballet, bring to our society in America, as well as what the low culture take away from our society? What values?
Well, it depends on what you actually mean by low culture. I think everything in our world is valuable to a certain degree. We can learn from tragedy. We can learn from people who are not humane, who are not giving, open people. So I think what perhaps what you call high culture has to offer is that when you see those things, you know that the people doing them have spent a lot of time, a lot of discipline goes into playing an instrument, singing, dancing, painting, all of the arts, and especially, the more classical works take take an enormous amount of time to perfect. And so I think a person who's not a part of that can look at it, and if they're open, they have to be open, can see that that there's discipline, that there's challenges, that they have the people on stage or the artists creating the work have achieved through discipline and hard work and never stopping. And that can inform, I think, everyone to something within themselves that they could work towards for themselves in whatever strata of life and whatever work they do in their life. I think I have 1 minute.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything you want to add to what you just told us?
I think the arts are vital to our society to continue to grow as a society. In the United States, we don't have a huge history of the arts as part of our everyday culture. And so that's one of the reasons, going back to your other question, of why young people aren't more probably engaged in the arts, is because it's not a part of our culture. We don't have arts in schools enough, and parents are so busy trying to make enough money to live that they haven't thought that that's an important part of their children's education. It's as important as math, it's as important as science, it's as important as technology, because it feeds our soul. And nothing else really feeds our soul as art, in the same way as art.
I love your answers. Thank you so
Oh, okay. I hope they were good.
Yeah, they were really
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.